that, I'm joined in the studio by our senior Middle East correspondent, Ariel Osseran, and Eric Mandel, the founder and director of the Middle East Political Information Network and a senior editor for security at the Jerusalem Report. Welcome to you both. So, Eric, I'll start with you. Is Israel getting some sort of mixed messages from the Trump administration? Because according to reports, Prime Minister Netanyahu told a cabinet meeting earlier this week that Trump had told him to go ahead and conquer Gaza City and get this war wrapped up quickly. On the same token, he says he is concerned about Israel's growing diplomatic isolation, which he blames on the war.
So it is not an easy situation. President Trump right now is telling Israel not to take the ceasefire deal. People seem to lose sight of that. And that is an important thing because Israel had agreed to that supposedly a couple of months ago. So the first thing here is if the president is telling them to conquer all of Gaza and do it quickly, those two things will not happen. If Israel goes in quickly, it will be a disaster, not only for the innocent civilians that are there, but also for the Israeli troops. The casualties will sustain. Hamas has not been just staying idly by while Gaza City has been coming under attack. They're planting IEDs. They're doing all kinds of booby trap type of things. So it's going to be a slow, methodical method. And if they go in quickly, there will be a disaster. And then those images that are going to come out. War is terrible. There will be images. They'll use children of famine. They're going to see injured children. The president may change his mind. But I will tell you, I just wanted to comment on what the foreign minister had said. That's basically a blood libel that Israel is using, starvation.
You're talking about David Lammy, the British foreign secretary.
Foreign secretary. He basically is saying that Israel is continuing and will continue to starve the Gazan population. But I can tell you from my sources that Israel is letting in as much aid that's coming through. But from UN statistics, 90% is looted from either Hamas or clans or whatever's going on there. And I know from people in the GHF also that tremendous amount is going in. So I think, the rhetoric has gone over the top in some of these European countries.
All right. Ariel, the European countries are behaving in a way you might expect, given that the pressure they're under. But America is Israel's most important ally. What America says is important to Israel. How can Israel respond to the pressure coming from President Trump at the moment?
Well, as you mentioned, Israel is receiving mixed messages, and it is showing on the ground that it is moving forward with its plan to take over Gaza. Not only has it begun issuing evacuation warnings for the residents of Gaza City, some are adhering, others are not. And we have to remember that Hamas has urged or even threatened the Gaza population from leaving Gaza City. We're seeing today the beginning of the mass mobilization, tens of thousands of orders for reservists have been issued, and the first hundreds have appeared today. So Israel's moving forward with its plan. On the other side, there's how this affects the negotiations, because Israel's still more than 2 weeks after Hamas basically accepted the ceasefire proposal, a partial ceasefire proposal, this must be noted. Israel still hasn't given its answer, and the mediators are kind of scrambling. So Israel is trying to, on the one hand, use this as a pressure tactic for the negotiation to bring forward a comprehensive deal. And to my understanding, Israel has presented to the mediators a comprehensive deal of a 6-month ceasefire with the release of all living hostages on day one. But so far, no official statement from the mediators indicating that they are not supporting such an agreement. And so Israel is continuing to move forward, regardless of what the Trump administration is saying publicly or in closed rooms.
All right, thank you both. Well, Qatar has warned that Israel's plan to seize Gaza City endangers everyone, including the hostages. Speaking at a press conference in Doha earlier, Foreign Ministry spokesman Majid al-Ansari also blamed Israel for the lack of progress in those hostage negotiations. Take a listen.
There has been no response so far, as is clear in Israel's behavior towards the situation there. We have seen during the past few days nothing but further escalation and the dangerous step represented by the plan to occupy Gaza City with its large population density and the significantly deteriorating humanitarian situation. These operations have only led to the death of hundreds of civilians and puts everyone under threat. including the hostages that the Israeli government says it is seeking to release.
That was the spokesman for the Qatari Foreign Ministry speaking earlier. Well, joining us now, Dr. Nasir Al-Amari. He's a writer and political commentator. Welcome to the programme, Nasir. Good to see you. So is Qatar really concerned about the plight of the Israeli hostages, or is this more about them trying to save Hamas?
Yeah, I don't think that they're worried about the Israeli hostages. They are trying to bring to the attention of the world, who agrees with the Qataris now, that the Israeli justifications for going in might be justified politically within Israel are not acceptable. The price is too high for the Palestinians. The price is too high for the international community. So Qatar plays a very important role. Now they are turning the world's attention to the fact that Hamas has accepted a ceasefire and Israel has rejected it, and that is echoing worldwide, and more people view Israel as really more interested in probably the displacement of the Palestinians than actually getting rid of Hamas or any other agenda item.
Well, what is the position of the Arab countries? Because the Arab League did for the first time call on Hamas to disarm earlier this year. Do they stand behind Qatar?
I think that you have a range of reactions in the Arab world. You have Saudi Arabia, who is the most prominent when it comes to this crisis in Gaza, and they have offered the Arab perspective on this, and that is to end the war and to dismantle Hamas and to replace Hamas, and that has won the agreement of the United Arab Emirates and Egypt, of course. So you have the diplomatic push by Saudi Arabia, which is normalization. And in return, Israel ends this conflict and Hamas disarms. However, operationally, Israel seems to be in a different place. They are not taking the Arab initiative, and therefore, I think the Arab countries are stuck in this situation, and they don't know how to move forward.
But who will dismantle Hamas if not Israel?
Well, if you listen to the Saudis and the Egyptians carefully, taking Hamas out militarily is very costly. However, Hamas has agreed to, a gradual process of rebuilding Gaza, and they have agreed, to an alternative to themselves to govern Gaza. So I think the Saudis and the Emiratis are conveying the message that you can take out Hamas militarily. However, you can gradually diminish Hamas and its role. And I think the Arab world has come to a point now where they understand that Israel will not accept Hamas. However, to put this into action, Israel seems to be in a different place. They still pursue political, military victories, when in fact Hamas can be dismantled politically if the Israelis accept the truce.
Nasir, great to talk to you. Thank you so much, Dr. Nasir Al-Amari there.
Thank you.
And Eric Mandel, if I could just get your response to that, because the way Qatar is selling it to the world right now is it's Israel that has rejected the ceasefire, and Israel is pressing ahead with the war.
First of all, those comments, I think that was absolute fantasy land that Hamas can stay with its military arms and slowly disarm, and they've agreed to anything. Hamas hasn't agreed to anything. So as far as accepting the ceasefire, I think that is a real decision for the Israeli government, because I think the country would love to get those 10 living hostages home. I think it may condemn the 10 remaining hostages. I'm somebody who's always been in favor of an all deal, get all the hostages out. But Qatar, I think Qatar plays this multiple ways. And I think if you really want to have things move ahead in the Middle East, an American administration, Democrat or Republican, sooner or later has to realize with the nefarious role that Qatar plays. They're the sanctuary for jihadists, Islamists, Hamas, and they could put pressure on there. And they think they have America over the barrel because of the Al Uwais base and CENTCOM being there. And I think we have leverage in my country, and we should use it on Qatar. And I think that is one of the best ways to move Hamas to leave, if anybody has leverage.
Of course, President Biden upgraded Qatar's status, making them a non-NATO ally. I mean, is there any sign that President Trump will do things differently?
No, I have to tell you, I've been going to Congress for decades, and Qatar has always been there. And it doesn't matter what Democrats or Republicans in power, I really get a cold shoulder when I bring up Qatar, and I don't totally understand. But Qatar is not really America's friend. I've been to Doha. I've spoken to the managing editor at Al Jazeera. And by the way, Al Jazeera just changed over to have a Al-Thani being in charge of Al Jazeera, which is no surprise because it's been the outlet for Qatari opinion. But Qatar is not a good influence for moderate rhetoric coming out, and I think it undermines our relationships because Saudi has to end up becoming as tough as Qatar, and they're really not friends.